Okay, well, we have a few guests rolling in, so please go ahead and continue to post a greeting in the chat. Let us know where you're joining from, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everyone and introduce myself. I'm Tony Guglielmo, Director of ARTEFFECT, and I'm in Santa Monica, California. I'm joined today by my teammates, program coordinators, Emmy Mata and Connor Walden.
Hello, I'm Emmy, one of the program coordinators based in Santa Monica. So excited to see all of you here today. Thank you for being here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Connor. So nice to meet you all, and excited to help with the Zoom today, and excited to tell you all more about the program.
Great, thank you. So it seems like we have people joining us from all across the nation. I'm seeing people on the East Coast. Thank you for joining. Jennifer from Detroit, Mary from Alabama. We have Comfort from Maryland. So excited to be able to share about the Ambassadors program this evening. So we would like to share some information, but before we do that, we want to get to know you a little bit more, and we have a quick poll, just 3 questions that we would like to have you answer right now, just so we can get a sense of who is joining on this meeting. So please take a moment and answer these 3 questions. All right, so it looks like we're coming to the end of our poll. You can go ahead and, oh, we just got one more in there. Go ahead and close that poll, Connor. Let's see the results. All right, so first question, what grade levels? And it looks like we have 86% of our callers. We have about 31 people on the call from secondary level, grades 9 through 12. And my primary work role is classroom teacher, awesome, 73%. And nonprofit staff, teaching artists, and other, great. So everyone is welcome here. And then we have, I am new to ARTEFFECT. Okay, excellent. 77% of you are new. So we're at 23 returning. So I'd like to just welcome everyone to our new teachers and educators that are interested in ARTEFFECT, and to our returning teachers. And we also have some of our ambassadors who were participating last year and on our inaugural cohort joining us today. So welcome to everyone. And we are going to be going through today's program. So you could stop sharing that poll right now, Connor, and take us to the next slide where we can see our agenda. Great, so this is an overview of what we're going to be discussing for the next hour. We should be ending right at 5 p.m. But in this time together, we would like to provide an overview of ARTEFFECT and a background about the on the program and the Unsung Heroes. We also want to take some time to share with you about the Ambassadors program, what's involved in the fellowship in terms of a program overview, the requirements, and the key dates and a timeline. And then we're going to hear from some of our 2024 ambassadors just to share about their experience participating in the program last year. And then we'll have some time for open Q&A. So I just want to note that while everyone has been muted right now to help us control the background noise, we are going to be posting information in the chat as we move along. So I encourage you to keep the chat open. Emmy is going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions as we move along, go ahead and post them there and we can watch those periodically. And feel free to share out any questions or comments as you have them come up in the chat, and we will keep an eye on that. All right, so we are going to begin by talking about the ARTEFFECT mission. And I wanted just to give you an overview here. ARTEFFECT is a growing initiative of the Lowell Milken Center for Unsung Heroes. And our mission is that we invite educators and students to explore the inspiring and diverse stories of unsung heroes from history through the visual arts. And our goals in doing this are to strengthen student learning through the visual arts, to engage educators through professional development, like the Ambassadors program, and to inspire others through the stories of the LMC Unsung Heroes. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about the unsung heroes. When we look at the unsung heroes, we're really looking at them as inspiring role models. And these are people from history that have taken extraordinary actions that have positively impacted the course of history. And they've taken these actions in service to others in society and have demonstrated altruistic qualities such as courage, compassion, sacrifice, and conviction. And on the list of unsung heroes, we have over 130 individuals on this list. And they span across periods from like ancient times to modern times and across diverse disciplines. So Emmy's going to post in the chat a link to where you can reference this list. And also I wanted to let you know that we'll be sending this materials following the program as well with some key links. So don't worry if you can't dive into all of this now. We have a lot to cover and we'll be providing these resources. But I do encourage you to take some time to explore this list. So these are the individuals that come out of projects that are project-based learning that teachers and students work together to uncover these untold stories at the Lowell Milken Center for Unsung Heroes. And through ARTEFFECT, we work with this expanding list of individuals, and students creatively interpret these stories through the visual arts. So on the next slide, you can see these qualities and actions that are kind of recurring themes as we investigate and celebrate the stories of these individuals. So I just wanted to put this up here for you. As an ambassador, you'll be exploring more of these traits and actions as you work with your students in your classrooms and communities. And all of this is really guided, the emphasis and the focus on unsung heroes by our founder, Mr. Lowell Milken's vision that one individual has the power to make a positive and profound difference in the lives of others. So that individual is the unsung hero who has positively made a difference in the lives of others, but it is also our students that we want to encourage that through celebrating these stories of unsung heroes, that they also have that ability to make positive change and have an impact through their art. To really celebrate the power of art making. And you know, this is also us as educators, because we are that person who can make the difference in the work that we do in education. So this is really a guiding framework. And as you delve into the story of the unsung heroes, you'll see, as I mentioned, some of these traits. These are amazing stories of people that have saved lives, that have come up with inventions that have changed the course of history, that have stood up for civil rights, social justice, that have done things in STEAM, wartime, and just really amazing, inspiring, diverse stories. So as I mentioned, through our goals, we run professional development at ARTEFFECT. We also run an annual student art competition. And I want to mention this very quickly, just so that you can get a sense of what we're doing with the students that are creatively interpreting these stories and the work that you would be doing, teaching and learning with this content in your classroom. So the annual competition has been running since 2015. We've had over 3,000 students participate from around the world. Students are invited to creatively interpret the story in an artwork that can be either 2D or 3D. They also write an impact statement to enter the competition. And there is a grand prize of $6,000. There are also other awards and certificates that are given at the high school and middle school level, as well as certificates of excellence. We run the competition in the fall through the spring. So this year the competition will open October 1st and close April 27th. And we are just, really excited about the competition and celebrating the award-winning artworks. Again, we don't have a lot of time to go into those artworks right now, but Emmy will post a link in the chat so that you can view those artworks and refer back to them. And I also want to say that while we do run the student art competition, we value the teaching and learning of all the students that are working with this content. And our ambassadors brought this content into their classrooms. Students were able to celebrate the Unsung Heroes stories through these amazing artworks. And not all the students will go into the competition, but it's a valuable all together. And we'll see that when we hear from our ambassadors as well. So on the next slide, I wanted to just show you a glimpse of our 2024 competition awardees, the award-winning artworks. So as I mentioned, we had 20 awards, over $25,000 in prizes. And just very fast to show you, because we don't have a lot of time, just a few examples of those artworks on the next slide. So here's our grand prize winner, our high school best in show. A lot of the students do portraits that also tell the story or go into the story of that. This is called Carl Ernst von Baer, the grand prize winner, who was an embryologist from the 19th century, and Jackie Orms, who was a comic strip artist. On the next slide, you can see two other examples. Vivian Thomas, who was a surgeon who helped with blue baby syndrome, and Eugenie Clark, who studied sharks. And these are two amazing artworks from middle school and a certificate of excellence. So we don't have time to go through all of them, but I do encourage you to browse some of those artworks just to see what the competition is all about. And you'll be hearing more about that as we go through the year together. So now I want to take some time to just tell you a little bit about the Ambassadors Program. So this is one of our professional development offerings, and just to share, what does it mean to be an ambassador? And we really offer this program so that it's an opportunity for educators working with middle and high school students, grades 6 through 12, to have the opportunity to participate in live online modules where we provide lesson plans. It's really an opportunity for your own instructional practice to develop and deepen strategies for teaching and learning, to have support through doing that deeper in a capstone project that is learner-centered. So taking this content into your classroom or your community or to your professional practice in a way that is most meaningful to your context. So there's opportunity to be really creative with the capstone project. You will be sharing about the competition, helping us to celebrate that and share that out, and we'll provide resources about that. There's a cohort that we're expecting this year of about 25 fellows. Last year we had 27. And so you'll get to know people in your cohort. You'll be matched with peers. We have a growing network on Facebook that you can join. And so it's really a time to connect with others and have some peer mentorship. You will have some recognition and be advocating for the visual arts, and the fellowship upon completion of all the requirements carries a stipend of $1,250, and we also provide a $250 materials credit. So that's kind of what we're offering, and I just wanted to take a moment to hear if everyone would just take just a quick post in the chat about what is it that you're seeking. So something brought you here this evening, and it can be a lot of different things that you were attracted to when you saw the advertisement for this fellowship opportunity, and we'd just like to get a sense of what it is that you're seeking. What do you most want right now in your professional development? And does any of this resonate with you? And what is it that you feel like might be most interesting for you to connect with here? Go ahead and post those in the chat. Leslie Sullivan is on the call. We're going to hear from her. Thank you, Leslie, for joining. Leslie was an ambassador from last year who did arts integration, a social studies teacher. Yes, highlighting the stories of unsung heroes. It's really exciting. The students come and end up championing these stories through the visual arts and really kind of being an advocate for reframing the way that we see history. Great. Well, these are great ideas. Thank you, Mary. The peer cohort will definitely get to know each other throughout the year. And hello, Anna. Excited to see you here. Thank you for joining. All right. Well, we have some more coming through. The lessons, we'll be providing lesson plans. Okay, great. Well, curating. Excellent. These are really nice ideas. All right. So I wanted to thank you, Sandy. So nice to see you. Another ambassador from last year. I wanted to share that, we are very much formative. So we're interested in hearing what works for you. This is a pilot program. This is our second year. And so we are learning together, building on what we learned last year and wanting to be very responsive to the network and seeing what works. And so this is sort of a co-creative model where you are helping us to shape this, and together we're all doing this work to support visual arts education. Right, so we have someone who, Elizabeth, who was participating in 2015. Great, well, welcome back. All right, so let's go to the next. Let's move on because we have got a lot to cover, but I love these ideas and we will note all of these. I wanted to provide an overview of what the ambassador program entails in terms of the overview of the year. So as I mentioned, we are aiming for a cohort of about 25 educators from across the United States. And last year we had Sandra Hutton, who's on the call from Canada. So across the US and Canada, the program begins with module 1 on October 30th and ends more or less in June. So we'll be with you throughout the school year. During the year, as an ambassador, you will be participating in a series of online modules. And we have 6 modules. We are asking that you would be required to attend at least 4 of them. I mean, you're come to all of them, and many of our ambassadors came to all of them as well last year. Modules 1 and 6 are required because they're the time when we give the program overview and present out on our capstones. And then you can, if there's time conflict, you can choose amongst the other 4 modules. And then as also part of the fellowship, you will be doing a capstone project, which I'll talk about in a moment. And that's really your personal practice for bringing this content together. And then throughout the year, we have online events that are optional, but it's really part of this peer learning and cohort building. So we'll have open houses, happy hour, some skill building sessions, and then you'll be matched with peer partners. We have Slack and Facebook, so we'll be in communication throughout the year. So I wanted to note here the different online modules. We have these modules that are provided with a lesson plan that you can shape and tailor for your own classroom environment. And these modules are taught by art educators and practitioners in the field. So on the next slide, we can take a quick look at the capstone project, as I've been mentioning. So the capstone project is that opportunity for you to bring it together, to bring your instructional practice with the stories of the unsung heroes and with what your community, whether that's your classroom or community, is doing. And so it brings it all together, and it can be very creative, but there are some requirements to the capstone project, and that would be that you focus on the stories of the unsung heroes from the Lowell Mulkin Center for Unsung Heroes as a main element, and you start working with that or introducing your students to the stories and the character traits and actions, and that it be visual arts based. and that you work with students in grades 6 through 12. And many of the educators last year were encouraging their students to enter the competition, so that's perfectly fine. We will be supporting that as well. So you may want to do a project that builds or scaffolds your students into the competition. If not all of them enter or not, that's fine. But a lot of the ambassadors did exhibitions of their student artworks in their classroom or in the library, in the community. So they ended up doing that work and celebrating it with their own community. So on the right here, you'll see some examples of possible capstones, which could include a visual arts activity that is a workshop or a classroom unit using one of our lesson plans and adapting that, doing the exhibition of student artworks, making a presentation at a professional conference or a written publication. We're going to hear from our ambassadors in just a moment that are joining us about some of their capstone projects. And one other thing I wanted to mention on the capstone project is that if you would like to apply in the application, we ask you to just briefly identify what are some of your ideas for how you might work with this content. What is it that you feel that you could put together for a capstone project that would be most relevant for your classroom? All right, so we have, oh great, Emmy is posting the details for the info sheet that has all of the requirements and the dates and everything that we've just gone through, a little bit more about the capstone project. So who is eligible to apply? We have inviting classroom teachers, district school administrators, librarians, private art tutors, teaching artists. If you're not on this list and you're interested, please reach out to us and then we can see if this is the right fit for you. But more or less, if you're interested in this content, you're working with grades 6 through 12, we can work with you on this. All right, so on the next slide, we have the key dates that I quickly wanted to highlight. So the applications are due Monday, September 16th. We hope to get the response out on the notifications by Friday the 27th. We have those key dates, the modules 1 and 6 that are at the start and the end of the program and the end of October and in April. Throughout the school year, you have those programs that you'll be attending. There's something going on more or less once a month so that we can have these touch points. And then you're developing your capstone project as you go along and have it completed by June 2nd. Along the way, you can have a check-in with me for 45 minutes just to talk about the capstone, and we can do that anywhere starting from end of November through April 1st. So we just schedule that at your convenience. And then final reports, which is a written report about what you've done, and share some images or media that we can share out and help to celebrate your achievements. And so that would all be wrapping up by June 2nd. All right, on the next slide, we are going to move into our section where I want to have our ambassadors that are joining us from last year's cohort share about their experience. And just wanted to mention that last year was our inaugural cohort. We launched this as a pilot program, and we had the most amazing educators involved. We had 27 educators from across 17 states and Canada joining us from all different kind of contexts. And they were just an amazing group. And so I think I'm going to invite our ambassadors that are on the call to share out and introduce them. So first, I'd like to begin with Sandy Hutton. And I think that Sandy is on the call. So let's go to Sandy's slide and see if Sandy's here.
Hi, everybody. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Sandy. So nice to see you.
Really nice to see you too. So I was thrilled to be part of this inaugural cohort last year. And this is actually a project that really spoke to my heart, going back to I guess it was a conference in New York City when I was first introduced to this this concept of this Unsung Hero project, and I just loved it. And I decided that I would take it back to my school. And then at that point, I was integrating it with my grade 8 class. And then at my school in Canada, this grade 8 class is actually a credit course combining the arts. So we actually incorporated some drama and everything into it. So that was pretty exciting. So when this role came along to be, look into becoming an ambassador, I was really excited because I am definitely someone who loves learning. I'm definitely a lifelong learner. And I wanted to dig a little deeper into how I could expand this within my school. So one of the ideas that I was working on with my capstone project was how could I actually expand this so it's not just grade 8. I incorporated it with grades 6, 7, and 8, and as well as a few senior students. Actually, I think it ended up being 3 senior students in my school. We are very big at my school into PBL, and so I was looking at how could I kind of make this a gold standard for art and with PBL. All of the sessions that I attended for the ARTEFFECT Ambassador program were incredible and really helped me to refine my process and to think about how I could do this. So I was also looking at literacy connections because I'm a big believer in literacy being involved in every subject area. With the grade 8 class in previous years, I had incorporated dramatic readings. That was one thing. We have talked a lot at my school about making thinking visible. So that was something that I would like to, actually, as I move into this next school year, try to dig a little bit deeper into as well. One thing that I hadn't decided to do was initially was I wasn't going to incorporate digital badges, but as I emerged, as things went along with my capstone project, this idea sort of started to emerge. And part of it was because I was operating this project for a large number of students. So I wanted to keep the motivation high and to, again, try to learn a little bit myself. So I did that. We did a virtues program as well at my school, which is, I don't think I ever showed this to the group, but these are cards that represent different virtues like acceptance, and it's a character education program that we already have at my school. So I tried to align this with the project and that I was doing as an ambassador, and it worked really well. And one of the things that I did was, Tony and I had spoken with my one-on-one meeting, and I said, how do you get somebody on the list? And we had this conversation, and so the person I was thinking of was Terry Fox, and Terry Fox in Canada is pretty widely recognized as being a hero, but as time goes on, his story is maybe not as known to everybody, because he was known as somebody who was a real hero for being a cancer, somebody who brought cancer to the forefront in terms of awareness, because he had lost his leg due to his own cancer, and had his legacy is that he is known for running a marathon a day across Canada. And unfortunately, Terry's journey ended early because his cancer returned and he passed away. But we continue with these Terry Fox runs, and his goal was to raise $1 per Canadian. And so over the course of time, a lot of money has been raised for cancer research. So my capstone also kind of involved, talking to Terry's brother via email and getting Terry on the list. So that was really, really exciting. And then my finale for my student work was to have an in-person show, and plus something involving the platform Exhibit, which is a virtual platform. So as I move forward into next year, I'm already thinking about process, and we haven't started our school year, by the way, in Canada yet. We start in the next couple of weeks. So I'll be looking at my process and, again, tweaking, because I'm a big fan of always trying to refine and tweak and learn. So it was an amazing, amazing process to take part in this. And I encourage anybody to be involved in this program because it's amazing.
Sandy, this is so awesome. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you again for joining us during your vacation. So I think that that speaks a lot to your experience with the ambassadors, and you have provided such an amazing overview, and I just can't even underscore the depth of to everyone here of the work that you did with the students, with the digital badges, with the virtue reflection cards, which bringing Terry Fox's story to light. And I want everyone to know that Sandy also did an amazing virtual online exhibition using that exhibits platform that she shared with us. And it was just amazing to see all of her students work online visually. Sandy has also been participating in the competition for many years and is a returning artifact teacher. And so it is just so valuable to see this content evolving in the ways that you are using it in your own instructional practice, tailoring it for your specific school, like you said, with the virtues. And it's just amazing. So thank you so much for sharing out about this.
Thank you for having me today.
We're delighted to see you. All right, well, our next ambassador on the that we would like to hear from is see, we have up next Sarah Luttrell. And is Sarah on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Sarah. So nice to see you. So Sarah is joining us from Waynesville, Missouri.
So my capstone is kind of like a sister school capstone. I worked with another school, and we had done this a year before with around food, and I thought it was great that we were able to do the ARTEFFECT project with the same way. And so we started out the kids coming together, and we went on a field trip. So that one in the top left there is where we went to a Buddhist temple in St. Louis, Missouri. And we went to a lot of different diverse places in St. Louis. And then we came back together on Zoom and talked more about the artifact and the different heroes that the artifact offers, and how diverse, and how we could look at that with diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then our students actually had like what we call like a little mini lock-in, where they got to come to our school for 8 hours, and then we went to their school for 8 hours, and we were able to get a lot of work done within that time. But then we also went back to our respective schools and finished up the work. And then we have, at their school in Lebanon, they have what is called a culture fair, and that's in the bottom right corner with the artifact and showing the artwork. But then we have what we call Festival of Nations at our school, and we were able to display there as well. One of the cool things that we did was that we set up QR codes. So the bottom left there was that they could find out more about the hero that went along with the artwork. I love this program because it really helped advocate, because I would use like the webinars with my students, the information. But in that left picture there that you see, we went to Lebanon School, and they actually had a picture of the candy bomber that had visited that school previously. So that was a really cool connection, that my students were actually making artwork about him, and then went to the school and they had a picture of him that he had visited their school. That was so awesome to see. But you can see, like in these pictures, the students were making connections. They were talking about diversity. They were coming as a group. But my school is military impacted, so I have students from all around the United States that come to my school. And then our sister school is very rural, like 90% white. And so it was a nice, like with rural and more inner city style of students to come together and work on this project. It was a great collaboration, and we were glad to incorporate the artifact to that.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I also wanted to point out that Sarah is working with her students with ceramics and sculpture. And this year, we're excited that in the competition, we're going to be offering a special prize category for sculpture. So we just saw so many amazing artworks last year and wanted to really honor that media. And also, I wanted to just thank you again, Sarah, for your work with the community, like the partner schools, and bringing the community together and taking Artifact out of your classroom into the community and really modeling for us what a successful program like that can be. And so that's quite an endeavor, and really a huge undertaking that worked out so well. And really appreciate you sharing about your capstone project and having everyone hear about that as well. So thank you for joining us. All right, so next up I'm so excited to see the ambassadors here. It's so exciting to see everyone. Next up, we have Mimi Clavin, who's joining us from the Milken Community School. And Mimi, we would love to hear from you.
Hi, everyone. It's really wonderful for me to, this is a great opportunity for me to kind of reflect upon my experiences as well. I love PD in general. So when I had not heard of artifacts before hearing about the ambassador program. So once I heard about the ambassador program and I went on the Lowell Milken Unsung Heroes website and just kind of got familiar with some of the unsung heroes, that was really what ignited my interest the most, because as an arts educator, one of the things that I definitely lean in on is visual narratives and using narratives as a tool for creating either our own personal narratives or obviously narratives that my students might connect to. So I selected, once I obviously became an ambassador, I chose one of my classes, which is my Art 2 class. And in that class, students have a lot of freedom. And we start off by selecting a master works. We go through the students doing master studies, analyzing the artists that they've selected, style of work. And then from that, students explore different styles of work and creating pieces either inspired by the artist that they've chosen or by using that particular style to create a body of work of their own. And I really, at the beginning, kind of struggled with, like, how am I going to incorporate all of the wonderful sort of education that I got through all the modules? Like, initially I was thinking, should I scrap everything? And then I really kind of picked from certain modules, certain parts, and kind of incorporated that into the class that I already teach. And my students initially were a little resistant, I'll be honest, because they kind of had an idea of what my class usually is. But it was really quite fascinating for me that as I slowly introduced them to like unsung heroes that I thought they could immediately connect with. Often they were, say, children. I selected the children and the animals first because I thought they could really connect with those very easily. And we did sort of small exercises around those. We looked at the characteristics of heroes. And then we also looked at heroes within our own families and really just kind of looked at what a hero is. And then from there, I just really just encouraged them to explore the unsung heroes and see who you connect with before you like completely reject this experience. And it was really interesting because once students really began exploring the different categories, they really found usually at least one, but often more than one unsung hero that they connected with in one way or another, whether it was, you know, students that may have cared about the rights of women or poverty issues or civil rights issues. And it was just interesting getting to know my students through the unsung heroes they selected and the conversations we would have. And one of my students actually selected Pollock as her master artist. And I was really interested to see how Pollock would relate to the unsung heroes stylistically. And with that particular student, she actually ended up doing, moving into art installation. And she really wanted to tell a larger story. The unsung hero she selected was Irina Sandler, and she ended up doing like a gigantic art installation, performance art piece that we did over like a 2-week period. Every single member of our community participated in making this art installation, and it really became like such a powerful piece for every single member of the community. This student spent her spring break painting 2,500 jars. And even like our operations staff, because there was candles, there were like LED light lit candles in every single one of the jars. It was like an amazing visual, both at daytime and nighttime. So it was really impactful, obviously by the making of the art. But one of the most interesting things for my students was, as they explored their unsung heroes, with many of the heroes they selected, they really realized that the mission that their unsung hero may have been trying to deal with was yet, there was still more work to be done. So once my students sort of realized there's more work to be done, that they really kind of moved more towards, okay, what can I do? Like, what's my role in this today? Like, how can I take that unsung hero's passion, make it my own, and make our world today a better place? And then that also became a very interesting conversation. So as an educator, I enjoyed like listening to like every single other ambassador's sort of take on how on their approach to the unsung heroes, how they were choosing to do their capstone projects. So mine was ultimately was an exhibit at our annual art show. And as I mentioned, the art installation was up for about 2 to 3 weeks, I think, ultimately. But I'm not done yet, because Unsung Heroes, I also teach fashion at my school. So Unsung Heroes is actually going to be my theme for my fashion students this year. So I am going to be using the Unsung Heroes narratives, and I'm literally sitting in my fashion classroom right now getting ready to see my students tomorrow. So I'm really excited about introducing my fashion students to the Unsung Heroes and really finding out what they choose to do with it. So I'm not done yet.
Yay, Mimi, thank you so much. And I hope everyone is coming back. Sarah, Sandy, and Mimi, and Leslie, who's coming up next. And I just want to say that we posted, just to celebrate, Mimi, what you took on with the art installation, which is a form of artwork that your student did, which is a huge campus-wide event. We've posted the story that was covered in the press in our chat for our prospective candidates to take a look at. And you did amazing work. So also, like our other ambassadors, many layers there with the master studies, with the championing unsung hero, really going into like what's left undone, how to tell the story, the installation art, and now moving forward into looking at fashion as a way, which is your passion here, to bring that into as a media into working with these stories. So thank you so much, Mimi. And we have two other ambassadors. We'll see how we can do on the time, but I definitely want to hear from them. Leslie Sullivan, who is joining us next. And Leslie, would love to hear from you, who is in North Carolina, or South Carolina, and who is in transition with her school. So I actually don't know the name of your school, but I have the school that you were at last year when you were an ambassador. Welcome, Leslie. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Very excited to be back. I'm actually at West Ashley High School now, just for helping, but very excited about that. So I think that one of the things that I want to touch on to start out is it's really easy to look at the last 3 people who have just talked as a non-art educator and be really intimidated. I am not an art educator in the sense of being an art teacher, but I teach art in social studies as an integration thing. And so one of the things I really loved about this program is I have always enjoyed art. I am not talented at art. My students a lot of them are really passionate about art. And the way of kind of getting them engaged through art is so magical. But again, it can be really intimidating to look at these amazing art educators and say, well, how am I going to do that in my classroom that's not necessarily an art classroom? And so I want to kind of focus on that a little bit with what I talk about. I'll talk about the capstone part too, but one of the things I really loved about this ambassador program is we paired up with other educators. So sometimes I was paired with an art educator to find out what they were doing. And it was really cool to grow myself as a not super artistically skilled person, how to help students create art. But also, I think one of the things that was most valuable about this program as well is when we did the sessions, each of the different sessions, those were basically learning how to do a 1 to 2 hour long lesson with students on different topics. And so like for me, I teach social studies, like I said. I got really lofty with my capstone goals. I was going to do all of the things. I achieved maybe half of those. But my main thing was about trying to integrate that into my African American studies class. And when I went to do that, it's kind of difficult sometimes to get started. And what I found is those lessons that we got, especially the character development content, was really so helpful that this year going forward, because it was really like not just, oh yeah, go do this. It's and here's what that actually looks like, kind of step by step in a way that made sense to me, and was exciting for the kids. And I had been actually a Milken Center for Unsung Heroes fellow, mostly focused on the Discovery Project, which is the other project. And I felt very confident about that, but less confident about this. And I feel much more confident now that I've gone through this program. But that integration was really fun to do. And I felt like I got a lot of hands-on stuff. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about my stuff. I did a lot of through my African American Studies class, we did a tremendous amount of like the character development, but kind of like Mimi said, we also did mini units. And I think someone asked the question earlier of how much time do you need? It totally depends on what you want to do. There were things that I did that took one class period that were extremely powerful, where we would explore something related to a theme. So Women's History Month in an African American history class, I had them choose from the list, find an African American woman that kind of speaks to you when you read her story, and then tell us kind of why that spoke to you. And so those were very quick things. So not everything is necessarily submitting a finalized project. And I thought that was amazing. The other thing I got into is our seniors do a capstone project, and I ran the capstones. And I had students do projects, and then they do an oral defense, which I love. So there's a panel of teachers and other staff members. So while I'm not an art teacher, the art teacher is on the panel. And so to have the students go through, what was your process? Why did you make those choices? And we asked them questions as they're telling us about that process. And that was actually a really powerful experience. I think that was maybe my favorite thing that we did. But I had, this is just a couple pictures of some students. The one on the far right, she ended up being named a finalist. She did a great stained glass project. She had never done stained glass in her whole life. And she was having a year, and she said, I want to do something where I learn a new skill to focus my energy. And she was like, so I'm going to learn stained glass. And I said, okay, well, let's do that. And so that exploring was fun. The student in the middle, that was a textile project. That was much more time consuming than she expected, but was also kind of a labor of love that she really enjoyed. And the student on the left, his story just makes me laugh in some ways. He is colorblind. And his goal for the year, because they kind of each set it their own goal with me, his goal was to learn how colors interact without being able to see them. And so he was not only learning about an unsung hero, but he was trying to learn how to do something that he knew was a weakness for him. And he was the art tremendous? Maybe not, but it was, the process was, and I really enjoyed that process kind of as a whole. So kind of that's the short overview of that, what I'm going to try to do this year. I'm at a new school, like I said. We have a amazing Holocaust studies teacher that I plan on working with this year. We have a huge art department. Last year, we did not have an art teacher at my school for the first 2/3 of the year. So I was like the helper. And so this year, I actually have a team of art educators that I'm going to get to work with, social studies teachers, and we're also going to be pushing into doing SEL content with the homerooms, using some of the content from this program. So not necessarily students who are entering the competition, but we're using a lot of that same content. So I'm very excited to kind of keep going forward. I try to keep it short, Tony. Sorry, I'm a talker.
Leslie, thank you so much. This is just so amazing. I think what you've really shared that I want to underscore is that you're not an art teacher, but you were able to bring this into your classroom and really align it in some meaningful ways that allow you to go deeper with your existing curriculum. And I hope that speaks to our question from I guess it was Karina who was asking about how much time it takes. And it's really like, you know, how much space you can create, whether you're folding it into a lesson plan. We had another ambassador who chose, had the students choose the heroes from the STEAM category and brought that into her unit on math and engineering and science and folded it like that, and also champion a story. So I want to applaud you for the arts integration, also for really, you know, encouraging the students to express these various mediums, which is beyond, you know, like very challenging just because they've done such creative work with the needlepoint and the stained glass. And thank you for being for being here to share this with everyone. So I think I want to call out one more ambassador and leave a few minutes for Q&A. I thought I saw Megan Henry's name on our list, and I'm not sure if she's still here. Megan Henry was an ambassador from Alaska. And Megan, if you're on the call and would like to say hello, we would love to hear from you. Oh, Megan, okay, well, in case you're having a moment of finding your way to the unmute, go ahead and do that and we'll make time for you. But right now, I just want to thank everyone. I hope that everyone that's a prospective candidate on this call could hear from our ambassadors just how proud they are of what their students achieved and how enthusiastic they are about working with this content, keeping it moving forward into next year as well. And so I just want to take a moment to thank our returning ambassadors, and they'll be part of our growing network that you will be engaging with. So right now, let's go to the next slide and we can have some Q&A and just see, I want to be sure that we have about 6 minutes. We do have one wrap-up slide that just tells you about next steps. But before we get there, let's see if there's anything that we can address. Emmy, is there any questions in the chat that you want to call out? Or if anyone has a question, go ahead and post it in the chat right now, and we would be sure to answer that. We've covered a lot of information, so want to be sure that you have what you need to take the information forward and evaluate whether this opportunity is something that you want to take on for the next year. So, and if you have a question right now, you could also go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question. And you can also always email us. We'll put our email in the chat. You could follow up. So we have a question from Mary. If a student wanted to do someone who is not on the list, is there a process for that? Yes. So we actually, two thoughts on that, Mary. One is that yes, like Sandy was sharing, she was a champion for Terry Fox, who is a Canadian sort of unsung hero, and she really brought that story to light. We did through a process of having Terry approved to be added to the LMC Unsung Heroes list. So there, and 3 other ambassadors last year also nominated community heroes. One person who was Carla Pepperzak was a school in Washington, and our ambassador Kim Vandervert nominated Carla, and the students did projects about Carla, who's the matron of their school. So there is a process. We encourage you to work with the existing list, of course, because those stories have been brought to light. They've been carefully researched through rigorous PBL with the teachers and the students. And also because in ARTEFFECT, the focus is not so much on discovering the details of that person's untold story as much as creating the artwork, so the students can shift to doing some basic research with already some bio and information and not have to work too much on the telling of that story. But we can definitely look at your hero if you have someone in mind. So it's really just kind of seeing what works. And any other questions?
Looks like Susanna had a question about funding. Great question, asking, is there any funding to help host capstone exhibitions?
Okay, so yeah, we are offering a stipend of $12.50, which is compensation for your time working with this content over the course of the year. We also will be providing $250 in materials credit. So that would be possibly an opportunity for you to use that money. It's both of those the stipend, of course, is for your time, your instructional practice. The materials fee is for helping to kind of get the project launched. So we could use that for materials if you wanted to do a reception. If there's something that is bigger than that, we can definitely talk about that and evaluate that together. I hope that answers your questions. Can schools within the same district work together? Yes, absolutely, Elizabeth. That would be exciting. It's kind of like what Sarah was modeling for us in Missouri. And will you only be accepting 25 ambassadors again this year? Well, we are hoping for a cohort. We're aiming for 25. Last year we had 27. We initially wanted to offer the program to 20, but we had such an overwhelming response that our founder decided to expand the cohort. So we're in about the 25 ambassador range, but I would encourage you to apply because I'm not really quite sure what's going to come in, and if we have the capacity to take more, we can try to aim for that. But so please apply, and if it feels right for you. All right, so next steps, before we wrap up on the next slide, we can kind of go through just what your next steps are. And just want to, because we only have 2 more minutes, hopefully, thank you all for coming, by the way. And I see some questions, so if we don't get to you right now, we will follow up with you as well. We'll take notes, and you can reach out to us at arteffect@lowellmilken.org. But the next steps are encourage you to take a look at the website. Emmy is posting the links there. We will send you a recording of this information with some key links. Take a look at that program information sheet, which kind of outlines what you'll be doing over the course of the year. We did try to build in some flexibility there, so you know how much time you can give it, but there are those key dates that you should take a look at and make sure that those work for you on the modules. To mark your calendar with those key dates, to apply by September 16th if this opportunity seems right to you. You can also stay connected if you haven't already. Join us on social media. We have a Facebook page, a Facebook group with our ambassadors and our art educators. And here's the bit.ly where you can find all of that program information, the application link as well. So with that, we're just going to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining again. Special thanks again to our ambassadors. Thank you all for joining this evening. Please stay tuned for the follow-up information, and I look forward to seeing your applications and hearing from you. Thank you to my team, Connor and Emmy, for the support on producing this program. And we're going to unmute so that we can all say a collective goodbye, and we will see you and hear from you again shortly. So Connor, if you would like to unmute, we can all say goodbye and thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
See ya.